They've already donated 2 gaming systems here that are fully online. They were provided by Tech for Troops and Game Corps to help out with veterans who just enjoy gaming, enjoy that therapeutic aspect of gaming, just want to come in, get something different. They do all kinds of stuff like that.
Every veteran has a story of sacrifice, courage, humor, and heartache. Each week, Veteran Story Hour captures these remarkable stories firsthand in the voices of those who've served. Recorded live from the weekly Friday brunch in the Saluda, Virginia studio in Waynesboro, this is more than a podcast. It's a living history, preserving the legacy of America's heroes. You're listening to Veteran Story Hour, Voices of Valor, presented by Saluda, Virginia. Let's begin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Veteran Story Hour. The episode you're about to hear is a little bit different. We don't have anybody to interview, and Zach and we are going to dive into an organization called Tech for Troops. Tech for Troops is a 501c3 nonprofit that's actually headquartered here in Virginia in Richmond. They take donated computers and electronics that would otherwise end up in landfills, and they refurbish them, and they gift them to veterans and their families who need them. Tech for Troops was founded in 2013 in Richmond by Chris Phillips and his mother, Lori. They were hearing about massive military force reductions and the fact that there was going to be a flood of returning soldiers. And they decided to start collecting used PCs and Macs, refurbish them, and get them into the hands of veteran service organizations. Tech for Troops is described as having a floor with 3 legs of the stool. The floor is guaranteed data destruction, and then the 3 legs come from this computer refurbishment and distribution, workforce development and education, and then their game core, aiming for zero. It's a veteran suicide prevention program that is led by Jason Parker. We're going to have the opportunity to interview Jason in a few episodes and bring that conversation directly to you all. So Zach and I wanted to be able to dive in so that we could introduce you all to Tech for Troops, let you learn more about the programs that they have coming. They have workshops and things that are coming right here into the Shenandoah Valley if you are local to where we record the episode each and every week. I hope you enjoy. If you haven't heard of Tech for Troops, like, what is it that they do and why does this organization matter? It starts with the 22 a day statistic, right? That an estimated 15 to 22 veterans, they're dying by suicide every single day. And Tech for Troops has a program called Aiming for Zero, which is a program that is directly trying to address this problem. They also are going after veteran unemployment issues. So post 9/11, veteran unemployment has been reported as high as 40% or higher than civilian unemployment rates. So it's an issue that we all know too well, especially as we've had guests on, which is you're in the military, control so much of your life, and then you come into the civilian world, and while you are prepared for many things,
That's not on the list.
that ain't on the list. And it doesn't seem to be, quite frankly, and it's gotten better. And it's been awesome to be able to interview different people that are from different eras to hear how that has been evolving. But certainly 9/11 on, we've seen some improvement from those veterans that we've gotten to talk to. But historically, the Army, the armed services just don't have a whole lot of interest in preparing you for civilian life.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, though, because even for me getting out in 2020 and going in the Army in 2010, like, I saw a huge shift in just the preparedness that the Army put into getting for other people once they were leaving. So, like, when I got out, there was mandatory classes I had to go take. You know, there were different areas, like if you want to go into business, then they would add you extra classes focused in a program called Boots to Business. They teach you how to write your resume for business, what you're supposed to look like when you go into a business interview, how to go through different questions for like business specific things. all the way down to they had a representative from a company in DC or in, yeah, I think it's DC. And they come through, they teach you exactly how to dress from the way you should cut your hair all the way down to the shoes you wear, teach you how to tie a tie, the whole gambit. And then they'll give you like a voucher to their tailor shop to come in and get like a full tailored suit.
That's sweet.
Yeah, so it's a whole thing, now that you didn't used to have. Because like I could only imagine like when my dad, my grandpa got out of the Army, what their transition was like. I envision it as more of a, okay, well, I'm done here, and tomorrow I'm going to go home and drive a backhoe or something like that.
Right. And then what comes with the veteran unemployment rate is then the veteran homelessness rate.
Yep.
And so some of the statistics that you can see is like 12% of the total homeless population are veterans. And obviously we've had Alec Gunn on the episode, who is the main director for the Warm Shelter, which is specifically targeted towards helping unhoused, right, neighbors that are in our immediate area. So it's an immediate need, and one I'm sure that Salute is constantly trying to keep track of who's coming to brunch.
Oh yeah, every Friday there's always a sign-in sheet, gets updated with contact information. That way, if there's anything that happens, brunch gets canceled because of the weather, or anything, even events that are coming up, that they can all get blasted out, the distro lists.
Yeah, I know I've heard Leah say multiple times, and that's Leah Hale, right, who's our main director and creator of Salute, but she talked about like, hey, I haven't seen this individual. This is the one hot meal that I know it gets a week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely always top of mind. And then the last piece that the Tech for Troops starts to solve is this idea of like the digital divide, which is only going to continue to get wider. But it's like many veterans are going to be leaving the military with highly specialized skills, like we've talked about, but they don't translate, right, into civilian workforce requirements. So if you're infantry, right, nobody's going to teach you Excel. And then and without a computer, right, you can't apply for jobs or access telehealth checks or take online courses or connect, right, for VA benefits. The days are long gone where you can walk into a business, shake somebody's hand, get an application.
Oh yeah, that's not a thing anymore in 90% of the civilian workforce.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things where it's because we know that this need is there. Tech for Troops has kind of taken that a step further, and they have kind of built the multiple legs of what their entire organization is about off of these ideas of being able to help with workforce development, being able to work towards preventing and working specifically towards aiming for zero for suicide prevention. And then obviously then moving into the next step, which is then getting folks skilled and understanding and getting the literal hardware in their hands. So these are some of the elements we'll touch on, but we have 2 computers here that have been donated by Tech for Troops.
We do. They're 2 full Predator gaming systems ready online for online gaming. They're set up to anybody who wants to come in and use them. They can do anything they want to just about in there.
And as I was doing some research and learning more about, as we knew we wanted to be able to do this episode and kind of highlight to all of you all as our listeners about this organization, and then obviously be able to get somebody to come on and talk more in depth. But what I really dug about the idea, which is they have this 2-prong approach of how are they donating computers out? And so what they actually do is they collect donated computers from whether it's corporations or government agencies. They once received 3,000 laptops from FEMA, right? And then what they do is, as individuals, then they're technicians. What's awesome is that it's a veteran ran organization, and then a lot of the folks that are going to be their technicians themselves who are veterans, they triage any of that incoming equipment, and then they can refurbish whatever's usable and then be able to gift it out to the qualifying veterans and their families. Because that's a huge piece where while technology continues to get more and more advanced, it doesn't seem like prices are really going down.
No.
Right? So it's like that stuff starts to get way expensive. And then not only I'm not really sure how to be able to use it, and then the cost is another gap. So it just is, I don't know. Like, I'm just not going to do it at all.
I mean, that's true. Because I know, like you talk about the divide in technology, and even for guys who now are getting out, if they've been in the Army for 20 years, or 30 years or however long, then they may not have the same technological skills as a 19-year-old who does 4 years in, the military and then bounces. Those are two totally different technological advancements as far as just their education by itself.
Yeah.
And they didn't grow up using technology the same way a kid does now. And so to have some sort of program or some way to actually address that is nice.
Yeah. And it's and what's cool about the idea of refurbishing, some of the stats that I had come across was like the world generates about 40 million tons of e-waste, right? Electronic waste every year. So it's like throwing away 800 laptops every single second. And so the idea that it's like since 2014, Tech for Troops, they have recycled about 600 tons of IT equipment specifically. And they literally have a goal of 100 tons of e-waste recycled per year per location that they have. So it's like this very ambitious goal that not only is like having, like, I'm not big woo woo, but I do like the environment, you know what I mean? But I do like the environment, like not just, you know what I mean? Landfills of like batteries just leaking into the soil.
Yeah, the fact there's some sort of proactive approach to getting rid of this.
Yeah. And the fact that it's like if the equipment too, and it's like, oh, okay, it's a refurbished computer, so it's a piece of crap they give out. And it's like, well, no, they actually like make sure that it's up to snuff. And then anything that is just can't make the cut to be an actual hardware item that's going to be given out, they dismantle it. They sell off the parts to be able to fund their own operations, and then the rest just gets recycled. So it's this really cool piece to where even if you're not a veteran, you don't qualify, because we'll talk about some of these things like how you qualify and the different types of opportunities for veterans specifically. But if you're a civilian or corporation or you got a company and you think about these things, it's like they accept most electronics for free, right? Like corporations get guaranteed enterprise level data destruction, which is a big deal, right? You safely, how do I dispose of that content and all of that and everything that's important. And because it's veteran based, they've set the bar at DoD standards. So it exceeds DoD standards, plus they're able to keep the usable tech out of the landfills. And then you can actually go to their techfortroops.org/donate, and they have, you can donate financially. So if you've got equipment, you can donate it. If you want to be able to just give them money for their mission, you can do that. And then they got merch, right? They got some really cool, like if you're a fan of anything that's like Top Gun-esque,
yep,
right? You can tell some serious influence that's there for their actual merch and stuff. And then they, of course, like volunteer opportunities. They have their Richmond headquarters, right? That's their main HQ that they're out of. They still say, right, word of mouth is their most powerful marketing tool, as most of the time it always is. But it is lots of opportunities, even if you're not somebody that's necessarily going to qualify for a computer or to be able to join their game core or all these different types of things. But specifically, Zach, you were saying that there's some things that are coming up even locally.
Yep.
And so what will we have on like the events for these guys?
So their first event here at Salute will be on March 27th, and they're going to actually do a vibe training class, which is, the way it's described is empowering veterans through technology. And so it's to help them build digital confidence, sharpen job-ready tech skills, and help them just in a community environment. That way they don't have to do it on their own. But it's meant for, veterans, their families, and different, anybody who qualifies through stuff like that. And it's $50 for you to come in. You're going to take this class for 2 hours. They're going to teach you some computer skills, a little resume work, some practical tips for like technology, things you should and shouldn't do, just a basic course. And then at the end of it, you get a laptop, wireless keyboard, and a mouse.
And it's like for like $50.
Yep.
So that's, again, it's the cost of the thing, how to use the thing. Mark Casper, who is kind of their head honcho right now. Mark, he came into the organization around 2015, 2016. He's a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and he'd been working in IT project management at companies like Capital One and Northrop Grumman and all those cats, right? And so he ends up getting invited to join the board. And then he walks through the door and he tells everybody, like, God smacked me upside the head and said, you're home. And then he ends up taking over and becomes the president and the CEO and has been running it full time ever since. one of the quotes that he has, because this is one of those things that I know I'm this way. And I imagine for all the dudes that are listening, the male dudes, you have to forgive me because I'm from California. Everybody's a dude, right?
Right.
It's just one of those things. I can't shake it. But the idea of this, like, I'm not looking for handouts.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for free stuff just because I'm a veteran. Like it's such a love-hate relationship. It's a double-edged sword, right? And so for him, it's like Mark has put it very succinctly, which, like, guys, this is not a handout, right? It's that hand up mentality, which is they're not just going to give you, it's not one or the other. Like, if you're going to go and work with them, they want to gift you the computer or get it to you in a very affordable price, but then make sure you have the skills to do it. And the best part that I like about, like, this workforce development is that it literally is that word development, where they bring dudes in and get you the computer, get you the skills, but then they'll also put you to work so you have experience, because that's always the worst part.
Oh, yeah. You get all these, whether it's certifications, education, but if you can't actually put it into some sort of practical use, then when you go to apply for a job, it doesn't really matter because they want demonstrated experience.
Yeah, 5 years of experience. It's like, I just got out.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to have this experience? How am I even supposed to get the job?
Well, and that's kind of where their resume and job search tools comes into play, because a lot of places like this, that if you're interested in like a technology field and you can show them, hey, yes, this is something I'm interested in, I'm passionate about it, and I'm willing to learn about it, that for a lot of places is more valuable than somebody who is credentialed to be there, just because it shows that you're willing and eager to learn.
Yeah.
So
that's all like the feel good stuff, right? Like environmental stuff, if you're into that, which, I mean, come on. At some point, you got to be at some point. And then we have the workforce part, but the individual that I think we want to be able to bring on is Jason Parker. And so this is where Tech for Troops, this is where their game core and this Aiming for Zero veteran suicide prevention program, this is where it really steps in. And Jason's he's a dual veteran, right? Army medic and Navy boatswain's mate. His background, and we'll get into it more with Jason when we have him on, but it's broken down like he understood from personal experience how gaming could be therapeutic for dealing with PTSD, anxiety, and depression. It wouldn't have been initially a thing that I would have assumed.
No.
Right? That they're going to marry like that.
Yeah, I mean, I know tons of people growing up who gamed, played like first-person shooters and stuff like that. And so for me, the thought of like, oh, I'm going to go be a combat veteran and then get out, and then what's going to help me deal with stress and anxiety is going to be gaming, because I'm a hyper-competitive person too. And so anytime, like, I even game with the kids, I just get pissed. Like, I'll just stop. I'm like, nope, we're just going to put the remote over there.
I think the kids call it rage quitting.
Yeah, that's probably it. I mean, I had a few friends growing up that instead of rage quitting, they'd smash their Xbox controller on the floor. And I'm like, guys, that thing's like $40. And you're just shattered it like it's a teacup.
That's exactly it.
Okay. So, like, to me, I wouldn't have assumed that would be a therapeutic thing. And then, as you look at it more with an open lens, then it's like, well, no, I could see how that would be therapeutic for a person, because it would take them away from all the other stress that they have, that this is the only thing. This is kind of like their version of meditating.
I like that. Yeah, it is, right? You can get zen. And this is where anybody that's listening, like, if gaming is not your thing, right? And it's not your wheelhouse, a little bit of this isn't for you, but it also is good to understand that this is another dynamic. Right? This is not where you're watching the kids waste their time. They're never coming out of the basement. They're never leaving. They're just gaming. They want to be able to be, Twitch stars, whatever these things are. You don't even know what that word means, right? If I say the word Twitch, right? You have an idea of what it means, right? But this is a growing, especially as we talk about the next generation of veterans, is that it's once these higher powered consoles started coming out, PlayStation's stuff that they've got, Xbox's stuff that they've got, and now, like, PCs, gaming PCs are so strong and they're so powerful of what they can do when it comes to gaming, is that it really opens up this idea of like a virtual space of a gaming community that now is dedicated for veterans specifically. And this is where it's veterans, it's active duty service members, and anybody that supports them, where they take those donated gaming computers and they've created a full-fledged online in-person community, right? So that is obviously networking and being with camaraderie and building it. It's important. And it's all powered by this partnership with AMD.
Yeah.
So they've done these big things to be able to build it out. And they've also started to play with this idea, which I know might be coming or is being talked about coming to Salute specifically here, which is this idea of bunkers. So what is a bunker?
So I've personally never visited a bunker, but from what I understand about them, it's just what you would expect. It's a technology room full of gaming computers and people in there gaming. Is just a community. So instead of going to like a peer support group or, to therapy or something like that, they all get together in the bunker and they all game.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I could totally see how the community aspect of gaming, especially now that you have online gaming. So, generally when you get out of the military or wherever, you and all your buddies don't stay in the same place. And so that gives you another way to connect with them and go, you can share war stories on there. You're like, oh yeah, I shot you in the face. It gives you that, like, you still connected to them.
Yeah.
In a way that without an online presence, you may not be able to do.
Yeah. And what I liked about it, the idea of it's likening it to of recreating that camaraderie that really only comes from like team-based mission work that becomes so standard, and that structure stays so standard when you're in military life. And it's one of the biggest things it's almost impossible to recreate it in civilian life. And before anybody is like gaming, and you may have already turned off the episode, right? But it's like, you got to realize this is another niche version of poker night.
Yeah.
This is going to smoke cigars with the guys or go to B-dubs or whatever the things are, like whatever causes that camaraderie. And that's what I really like the bunker piece, because again, a world that I have done a lot of research on and am connected to, which is the impact, right, that gaming and technology has on youth specifically, and all the detriment. Like there's very little research that is resulting in, this is good, right?
Yeah.
That kids are spending less time with each other, because it's the ability to actually build connections that are meaningful, even if it's digital, just pales in comparison of real life. But the only line in the sand that even the researchers do make is, back in the day before online gaming, if you were a gamer for some of the original consoles that started really coming out, we're talking like original Xbox, maybe PS2, PS3, like those, and that's PlayStation.
Yep.
Online gaming, the way you did online gaming was everybody would bring their console to a house, and you would create your own mini network by connecting all the computers. And now you've got boys in the living room, you've got boys in the kitchen. I mean, I remember doing this.
Oh yeah, we did it too. I mean, we set up multiple TVs and used to play Super Smash Brothers.
Dudes used to bring their TVs.
Yeah.
They would bring their console and they would bring their TVs, and it would just be, you'd have 15 guys all playing, the largest map possible in Halo, and you're getting after it. And it was a great time. But what made it a great time was that you not only could shoot your buddy in the face, but then you could go talk shit to him in the other room because he's right there, or you yell to him across the room.
Absolutely.
And so the idea of the bunker space, this is where you get that in-person connection, that then you get the gaming that's tied into it. And that's really where I think there's no shade, right? Anyone that's trying to put something together, to get guys together, to come and join, to communicate and talk, and as part of a suicide prevention effort, that's all good.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
But I'm not a dude that would ever go talk about my feelings in a room.
No.
It's not going to be a thing. But I will go game. I will go smoke cigars. I will go play poker. I will go drink whiskey. Like I'll go do those things because that gives it, and then natural conversation will happen.
Absolutely. I mean, like, we're talking about it. Like, I remember as a kid when we would go and set up our own little like mini bunkers like that.
Right.
Like the amount of, so you stay up all night, eating pizza and just talking shit to each other all night. And then as an adult, that slowly starts to fade away. And even now, like, I'm not a huge gamer. I'll go sit in Ethan's room when he's gaming, and like I'll talk shit to him, and
right.
He has his mic on, so obviously whoever he's playing against, they're gonna hear whatever I have to say. So for me, like, that's just fun because it brings back memories of, like, I remember me doing this.
Oh yeah.
There's just no mic.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
just you're yelling at the screen with nobody to hear you on the other side.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, you have other people, like, there's a guy who does a lot of streaming, and he's an old guy. He's probably 60 or 70, and he's a sniper, or he used to be a sniper. And so he plays a lot of first-person shooters and does videos and streams him as a sniper in the game. And all he does is he just pisses off little kids all the time because for him, I think it's therapeutic to work through some of that, and it's also just fun for him.
Right.
Because he's like, "Oh, you think you're gonna kill me? Not a chance today."
You're 9.
Yeah. Like, I have a lifetime of doing this in real life, so like I know what this is like, and what you're trying to do is just not a thing.
That would be the most gangster thing ever. To just be like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh, his videos are awesome. You gotta check them out.
So speaking of checking it out, so if this is a realm that you're interested in, you can dip your toe in the water, and they run co-op missions and tournaments and events, and they do a regular streaming session. So on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time, they do go on Twitch, so you can go and find them if you have any idea what that means. But they do that so you start to get an idea of what they're doing, and then obviously the bunker spaces. So they've been building these physical bunkers. It would be awesome if we can get one that's here in Waynesboro to kind of expand that mission. But the impact piece, when it comes to the idea of like aiming for zero, it's that stress relief. Like there is an element where it's, if you don't have people, if you're still kind of in that spot where you don't have your people, you just got to find your people.
Yep.
And it may be too stressful to go to a brunch, to go in person. So it's such a great introductory step that ends up being this outlet for dudes of like stress management and the idea of like strategic play. And it helps with critical thinking and being able to have like, whether it's decision making and then team-based nature that rebuilds that sense of like belonging and purpose. Because the more research that gets done around in the depression space, in the anxiety space, is that lack of purpose, that lack of community. And instantly, Tech for Troops is identifying this gap that they can then step in to allow guys to be able to ease into that and feel comfortable doing it.
Yep.
It's one of the best parts about teaching in this more modern era. There aren't a lot of positives that have come out of that. But one of the best parts that I always have found is that it's when you have the ability to have a hybrid environment, students that are too nervous to raise their hand, but they got a question, when they have the ability to send a message in. I mean, this exists now across Fortune 500 companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, as they are interacting with their own employees. You may not get somebody that's going to go off mic or on camera to talk about something inside of a large, but they will send a message. They will type something in. And so it's all these like little pieces of being able to meet veterans where they're at currently.
Yep.
And then being able to really pull them, because many veterans will game, but they do it in isolation.
Well, yeah, I mean, because that's just like, there's a group here that meets, it's a board game group, and they meet like once or twice a month on Friday nights. And when one of the gentlemen who's in a group approached doing it, it was, hey, can we do like a adult board game type thing? And Leah was like, yeah, I mean, sure. If you guys need a space, like, yeah, come do it here. Well, so come to find out, it's like a large D&D group. And so they get together, and there's quite a few of them who come in and they set up around the big round table and they do their thing. And so I think things like that, when it comes to like that online gaming and just gaming in general, a lot of time it gets frowned upon because it's like a nerdy thing to do.
Yeah.
And guys, as much as I love us all, we're all macho assholes at heart. And nobody wants to seem weak. And so you're not going to be like, no, well, I game. Or, hey, you want to meet me on later and, we could play 2K or something like that. Like, kids do that, and it's normal.
Yeah.
But it's not normal for adults to, like, have an online meetup to go play a game. It just seems like a weird concept.
Yeah, and it's reframing that, I think. I have a good buddy that the way he explains it, he goes, we're all autistic for something. And he goes, if you think wearing another man's jersey doesn't make you look like a total dork, then your tism for that sport or that team, it's like, imagine wearing another man's uniform.
Yeah.
Like, what, you dressing up as him?
Yeah,
Like,
you think you're him?
That's normal? It's normal that you know all of his stats? You know what he did on Sunday? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's normal. And that it definitely it ties with like, no, I'm not allowed to like gay stuff. I'm not allowed to like sissy stuff.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't know, man. I think it just comes down to what's your tism?
Yeah.
And if you don't got one yet, go find one. Go find a thing that's got your tism, because you probably have got it.
Oh, yeah. Everybody has a hobby of some sort, whether it's constructive or destructive is up to you.
Right.
But, or, they all have their niche or something they're into. And so it's up to you to kind of use that in a proactive way. And I think being able to use that in like the way Tech for Troops is using it to go against the suicide trend, I think is a really good thing. Just that way, now they're addressing that there is an issue there. And now they're trying to meet people where they are and solve that issue the best that they can.
Well, folks, I think that wraps it up. We're excited to kind of tease this out and get excited, hopefully, to have Jason Parker on, who helps run, right, the Game Corps Aiming for Zero, which is, again, is this veteran suicide prevention program that is one of the three legs kind of the stool that makes what Tech for Troops does. And again, if you're listening, we've given you some of the information, right? You go to techfortroops.org and go to their website. You can contact them via email at info@techfortroops.org. And again, their HQ is out of Richmond, Virginia. But it's one of those things where, think about it. If you're listening and you have a closet full of old laptops that are sitting at your office, if you're a veteran and you're listening, you're thinking, I need this, right? What's the first step? And what the future looks like for Tech for Troops and where they're headed, that's what we'll hit Jason with and have him kind of elaborate and go into some detail there. But I can't imagine a better program. And this is kind of, again, different episode. We're not necessarily interviewing anybody on this one, but being able to highlight different programs that are out there specifically for veterans that are out there, and any of these type of organizations that are not only veteran led, but also largely staffed by veterans. So it's veterans helping veterans. These are the types of things that we want to be able to highlight. And they're all over the place. So whether you want to be able to follow them on Twitch, right? The Game Corps streams Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. They're on LinkedIn, right? Obviously, the connection back to when it comes to workforce and being able to do development. They're a great resource.
They also have their own Discord that you can join too.
Well, there you go. So they're dialed in on the technology side. So be excited to look it up. Let us know if you are interested. We're always willing to help, and you can always reach out to Salute and get in contact, and they can help you get in contact if that's more comfortable for you. And we're looking forward to be able to introduce Jason to everybody, and we can go into more detail as we look at what it looks like to bring potentially a bunker here to Saluda, Virginia.
I mean, they also have a program where you can apply for it, and they'll either send you your laptop or you can go to Richmond and pick it up. I know there's a few people here who've done it.
And for the veterans and any active duty military, right, you can, like Zach kind of talked about, you can apply for a computer. So you just complete the online application at techfortroops.org. All you'll need is a photo ID, qualifying documentation, right, VA benefits letter, financial assistance docs, et cetera, any of those types of things. You can join the Game Corps, right? And so you can start to connect with the gaming community, whether it's through Discord or over on Twitch. And then they got, again, free computer literacy, resume, job skill classes in person at their HQ or online. They've also traveled all over the place to be able to meet veterans where they're at as you have a great enough need. So they've kind of traveled all over the country and hit a bunch of different spots depending on where people are. So they've traveled to Milwaukee and Dallas, Martinsburg, West Virginia, Northern Virginia, Petersburg, Virginia. So that they will come to you as the need is there. And then, of course, like we said, they'll hire veterans in all areas of their operations that helps provide further IT training to help you get more prepared to be able to go into civilian life. And then, obviously, I would be remiss if I don't mention it, but they want to make sure, like, if you're in crisis, right, the Aiming for Zero community is there. You're not alone. They want you to reach out through Game Corps or just call the Veterans Crisis Line 988 and press 1, and that will get you in contact and kind of get you on that space.